Hi there, Turgeon here, bringing you physics from afar. Especially this time of year, it's more about you than what the teacher does. And I'm here to help you. But in order for me to help you, you have to listen. That's supposed to be an ear. If you don't listen to what I say, you're not going to get any of the actual teaching that I can convey. So, number one, from session one, you can put your answers. You're going to compare my correction to your answer on the answer sheet, and you'll take a lot of your notes here. As much as possible, take your notes here so that you have one sheet to use. Even though, yes, I am going to write on here so you understand the context. So number one is really about the word reflection. If you look at these light rays, they are bouncing off of mirrors. Mirror, mirror, mirror. It's all about reflection. So the answer to number one is the only one that has to do with reflection, which is D. The answer to number one is D. So you put your answer, compare my answer to your answer, and I would write the word reflection right there. Not to be confused with refraction, which is the bending of light when it goes into a different medium. You could put a little note there about that as well. Remember, when we're doing all of this, you're trying to make it stick. You don't want to just get the answer. The purpose of this is, do you want to do well? The purpose of this is for you to listen, understand, write things down, and writing things down helps you to remember them for the MCAS. Number two, this is about an electrical circuit. An electrical circuit is represented here. There's a battery or voltage source. Here's a resistor or a load. I'll draw another little diagram of an electrical circuit. Here's a voltage source, voltage. Here's a resistor. Now I'm going to throw a bulb in here as well. Not really happy with my bulb drawing, but we're live, so here we go. And the idea is that what could I do to increase the electrical current that's flowing through this circuit? There's a bunch of charges. You could write that down in the notes here. You could write down electrical charges are flowing or something like that in the notes here. Electrical charges are flowing. So there's voltage, which is V, I, which is electrical current, R, which is resistance. So if I add more resistance, more resistance is not going to make a greater current. The greater current is going to come because I have less resistance. So one of these choices mentions lowering the resistance or decreasing the resistance. I also want to have more voltage. If I have more voltage, I'll have more electrical current going through the circuit. That makes sense. So the answer to number two is C, because that's the one that says a decrease in the resistance, which would by itself would increase the current, also an increase in the voltage. Number three, I'm thinking molecules are changing. Here's molecules at that temperature. They have more kinetic energy than the molecules at this temperature, which is lower. So it must have decreased the kinetic energy. So I'm looking for a choice that says the kinetic energy of the molecules is decreasing. They must have then lost some energy into the environment or their surroundings. So the answer to number three is A. Number four, the answer is going to be, this is based on momentum, so you could write this in your notes. I just calculated the momentum. Now write this down here. Write this down. Calculate. Don't just look at them and just take a guess. Calculate. You have your equation sheet right here. It's not going to be yellow, but there it is. There's the equation for momentum. And even if you forgot that, it says momentum right there. So use the equation. Calculate. I got 15,000, 12,500, 20,000. Here's an example of how I got the 15,000. I just plugged into the equation. And so the most is the sport utility, the next most is the truck, and the next most is the car. So the answer is A. It says from greatest to least. So the most is the sport utility. Number five, we know that the thing must have lost some energy because otherwise it would have enough potential energy to get all the way back to the face of the teacher. So the answer to number five is B. It lost some kinetic energy. Number six, There's 3 ways that heat can transfer. This is the one about conduction. That makes me think conduction, convection, radiation. Conduction is touching from molecule to molecule, like when you touch a hot surface and the heat flows directly to you. Convection is a flow of fluid. Radiation is electromagnetic waves or light. So when I look at all of these, there's only one of them that's direct touching. This one's about warm air. The other one's about light. The other one's about light again. So the only one that's about touching is D. You could write down in your notes, convection, conduction, radiation. You could write touching molecule to molecule. Number 7. When I look at this, I see an increasing slope, so I know the speed and velocity are increasing, and there's only one choice, where it is increasing its speed or velocity. That's choice D. 8, this is Ohm's law again. There's a mention of voltage in a battery, that's V. Ohms is the resistance, it says resistor there. So I can plug into V equals I, R. V is 6, R is 24. When you solve this, you get 0.25. If you put in a different voltage, you get 0.5. Oh, so the current must have doubled when we doubled the voltage. So the answer is C, the current doubled. This one's weird. Don't worry about this one too much. This is a little bit of a strange question. But I'm going to use the speed of light, which I'm using the average speed equation. Here's the speed of light. We want to find the distance to give me the time. When you solve this equation, you multiply both sides by 2.56, and you get 768 million. But it said, how far is the moon from the Earth? So that was there and back. So the distance is only half of that. So if you take the distance divided by 2, you get choice C, which is 384 million. We will pick up in the next video. This has been Physics from Afar. Remember, you gotta listen. Remember to take notes and make it stick. And remember, this is really all about you more so than the teacher.